Cathy Yeon Choo Lee is the CEO of the accessories brand Ekatrina New York. She breathes life into all of her designs with the brand philosophy of timeless, unique, and exquisite. Just 2 months after its launch, Ekatrina burst into the fashion spotlight when celebrity Nicole Richie began appearing with Ekatrina bags. Cathy Yeon Choo Lee has brought a Korean touch to the American fashion scene. Originally a student of industrial design, Cathy Lee began her career designing keyboards for IBM, then designing pet clothes for The Gap, serving as the head designer for the brand Liz Claiborne, serving on the board of America's favorite Ann Taylor, before finally launching Ekatrina New York in 2006. Her success came at the end of a long, winding road. Ekatrina is named after the greatest female Russian politician in history, and that spirit of greatness is embodied in Cathy Lee's designs. Join me, Susan Lee MacDonald, as we hear her story on this week's The Interview. Welcome to my show, Cathy. It's such a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, it's my honor to be here.
Oh my goodness. You know, I've been really looking forward to meeting you.
Oh, thank you.
So, welcome. Well, let me say hello to everyone who's watching out there. Hello everyone, I'm Susan MacDonald and welcome back to The Interview. Today we have the amazing designer Cathy Yeon Choo Lee with us today, and she will be telling us all about her life and her brand Ekatrina New York. So, you look fabulous. I mean, seriously, look at your really retro outfit and
black. That's all.
Because you're a New Yorker, right?
I believe in black.
Well, you know, black is probably one of my most favorite colors to wear. I guess because I, lived in New York for quite some time, and you as well, yes?
Yeah. I've been living there for 12 years.
Wow. And you choose to use both your Korean name, Yeonju, and also your English name, and I'm curious why that is.
I just love how it sounds, Cathy Yeon Choo Lee, and people, automatically they hear Yeonju, they kind of know that I'm Korean, and I wanted to keep Korean heritage in my name.
Well, I know that I'm very proud of my Korean heritage too, and I'm just curious, is that one of the reasons why you wanted to insist on keeping your Korean name?
Yeah, it just sounds right, and I feel very comfortable people calling me Yeonju, so I'm keeping the name with my Cathy, which I got it from my childhood.
How did you decide to come up with the Ekatrina New York brand?
Ekatrina New York is a 7-year-old brand.
Okay.
And I came up with the name when I was very young.
Oh.
Yeah, very young. I think
you're still very young.
Yes, I'm very still young. I'm early 40, but it was early 20s. And I coincidentally read this story about Catherine the Great, Ekaterina New York Empress from Russia, and how powerful she was when she was an empress. And she was so powerful, so whatever that she had the belongings, it had a little bit of the energy of yin and yang energy of that power.
I see.
So I wanted to kind of make her as a muse to my brand. So whoever that carries my bag, who will feel the Ekaterina power, the woman power, into their lives. Well,
it took only 2 years for Ekaterina to become incredibly well known throughout New York, especially with the WWD, the Women's Wear Daily. And I'm curious if you could tell us a little bit about how was the brand able to grow so fast?
It's not that fast. The 2 years was very painful.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yes, and just like anybody else. Yeah, just anybody that start a company as a designer, and you just have to wear different hats, like be a designer and also planner and also merchandiser. And I sold a few bags to one of my great friends in Hollywood.
Okay.
And she owned this really great retail store. And then I guess this reporter picked it up from that store and just started to talk about our brand.
Wow. Well, I guess when there's good design and good quality, people can't help but be drawn to it. And I hear that Nicole Richie
that was
had
the same
something
year
to do with your bags becoming famous.
Right, that was the same year. And I was actually in Korea at that time. It was Nicole Richie was wearing that bag, and it was all over the peoplemagazine.com. And one of my friends in New York actually called me and she said, "Hey, wake up." And I'm like, "Hello, it's 3 o'clock in the morning." So she's like, "You're on People Magazine. You have to wake up and just, you know, get to your desktop." And that's how I figured out.
Wow. How did that feel when you saw your bag on People?
Very happy, but very, at the same time, settled. How do I say? Very resolved. And about a few weeks later, people start to call me for more sales, and people start to call me for more appointments.
Wow.
So she was great.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's amazing what celebrity endorsements can do.
Yes.
And especially if you're not even, you know, asking them to wear it, and they just choose it themselves, and that publicity just brings on more people.
One of the amazing things is Nicole Richie was wearing that for several different occasions. So I have a picture of her wearing to her baby shower, because she was pregnant at the time, and she was going to the, you know, the brunch with Paris Hilton. I have a picture of that, the same bag. So she was wearing that bag to the several different occasions, which was very honored.
Wow. Ekatrina New York uses signature antique gold.
Yes.
And I'm curious, why antique gold?
I have been, you know, lover for gold all my life.
Me too.
Gold makes you happy, and it has iconic image of wealth too. And I just want to make a straight translation of wealth and gold and power to our leather, which you can see right there. That's my first collection, Lara bag, which was made by antique gold python, and that has been received very, very well. So I'm after 7 years, I'm still selling it.
Yeah. You know, I hear that you and your company have several core philosophies, so timeless, exquisite, and unique.
Yes.
Explain to me about why you chose those particular descriptors.
We believe in the 3D terminology, and they came from very first day that Ekaterina was born. Everything that I do, not only design, but action and sales and responding to our customer, it has to be timeless, unique, and exquisite. So I always ask my employees, you know, it's a unique answer, it's a timeless response, or it's an exquisite action. So that's our company philosophy all throughout the action of how we design, how we sell, and how we promote our bags.
Interesting. Garosugi in Shinsadong, Seoul is where all of Korea's latest trends are born. Of course, we can't leave out the latest in handbags, an essential item for any fashionable woman. Ekatrina New York showcased its 2012 summer collection here on the most fashionable street in Seoul. The theme of the exhibition was hologram, emphasizing diversity of light and color captured in one bag.
이 가방으로 설명을 드리면요, 이게 일로 봤을 때는 그린으로 보이고 또 절로 봤을 때는 그레이로 보이고, 이게 들었을 때 밤에 드는 거랑 또 낮에 드는 거랑 굉장히 느낌이 틀려요. 그래서 가방을 제가 디자인을 저 20대 초반부터 하면서 큰 클러치다, 뭐 조그만 클러치다, 큰 가방이다, 조그만 가방이다, 이런 것들을 한번 이렇게 사람이 생각하기 나름이다, 이런 거를 홀로그램으로 컨셉슈얼리 풀었습니다. 이 핑크가 맨 처음 딱 나왔을 때 우리 디자인 하우스에 있는 디자이너들과 저는 너무 기뻤어요. 이 컬러가 너무 예쁘고 정말 어느 옷을 입어도 잘 어울리겠다 이렇게 생각이 들어서 정말 예뻤는데, 뭐 많은 사람들이 또 크리티시즘이 보았을 때 정말 패셔니스타들은 좋아하지만 보통 사람들 힘들 것 같아요 이렇게 얘기를 하는데, 저는 언제나 얘기합니다. 흰 티셔츠에 청바지 입고 한번 시도해보세요. 이게 그렇게 힘든 컬러가 아닙니다.
Ekatrina bags have loyal followers thanks to their precise and detailed handiwork.
이 가방은요, 보시면 아시겠지만 이렇게 주름을 빚었어요. 이거는 이제 옷 만들 때 드레이핑이라고 얘기를 하죠. 그래서 드레이핑이라고 얘기를 하는데, 그냥 패턴 만들어서 바느질 한 게 아니고요. 이렇게 해볼까 저렇게 해볼까 여기 이렇게 줄여볼까 오핀으로 하면서 그러면서 만든 이렇게 3D 패턴이라고 그러는데, 그렇게 해서 만든 가방이고요. 이 가방 같은 경우는 정말 제가 너무너무 존경하는 장인 선생님이 만드신 건데, 자세히 보시면요, 앞에 패널에 스티치가 없습니다. 근데 그게 그렇다면 이거 어떻게 붙였어요 이렇게 얘기를 하시는데, 뒤에 보면은 이 스티치가 있죠. 이 반딩 시스템이 그게 기술입니다. 그래서 안에는 이런 바케탈 레더라고 좀 루이비통 가죽으로 유명하죠. 이거는 쓰면 쓸수록 들면 들수록 컬러가 아름답게 바뀌는 그런 거고.
Ekatrina New York's luggage, beautiful and practical, reflect Cathy Lee's philosophy.
제가 이 직업을 갖다 보니 정말 여행이 잦아요. 여행을 잦다 보니까 정말 여행 가방이 너무 중요하더라고요. 일하는 여성한테. 그래서 how to pack, how to 이렇게 carry 이런 것들이 저한테 이제 interesting하게 느껴지면서 제가 여행 가방 시리즈를 만들기 시작했어요. 어떻게 하면 가장 functionally 만들까. 그래서 이게 보시면 아시겠지만 이런 little pouch 앞에 있는 것과 이런 zip top 그리고 drawstring. 1920년대, 30년대 그 여자들이 여행 다니면서 그 로맨틱한 거 있잖아요. 굉장히 숨기고 싶은 거, 알리고 싶은 거 그런 거를 한번 컨셉션을 표현해본 그런 가방이고 이 가방은 한 2년 전에 나온 건데 그때 데이트를 쳤고 그 다음에는 제가 컬러웨이로 가죽마다 지금 표현이 되고 있는 그런 가방입니다.
How are Cathy Lee's collection pieces received by the women of Karosugil? The visitors open up the pieces, talk about the designs with their friends, and try slinging them over their shoulders to get the full experience.
어느 복장이나 좀 캐주얼이나 정장에도 잘 어울릴 수 있고요. 저는 아기가 있거든요. 그런데 소품도 많이 들어가고 가벼워가지고 많이 넣어도 가볍게 되거든요.
Some of the visitors to the show were a little older, demonstrating Ekatrina New York's appeal across the generations. What makes Ekatrina attractive for this particular visitor?
우리 나이 때에 적당한 사이즈고 부담 없고 큰 가방들은 젊은이들한테 필요하지만 우리는 그렇게 많은 게 필요하지 않아요. 간단하게 우리가 필요한 것만 넣을 수 있고 또 디자인도 너무 이쁘고 아주 좋습니다.
Cathy Lee is a designer who creates beauty, but she also seeks to understand and reflect the needs of those who carry her creations. Each one of her bags brings style and comfort to women all over the world.
You know, you receive a lot of investment offers for your company, and I hear that you turn down a lot of those offers, and I'm curious why.
Because some people say I'm still very stupid.
No.
I don't know the nicer way to saying it. I'm still good as a small company owner, and I am very thankful that I can continue with my own philosophy, and I want to show it to my 후배들 and my client, my colleague that small business owner can actually raise and actually build a brand. Not only LVMH or Jill Sander or Chanel. I mean, they're a very big design house. You don't have to be in that design house to grow your own business. So I am very determined to grow Ekatrina New York as an international brand, and it's only 7 years old, so I have a lot to do, and I have to long way to go.
Yeah. As a designer, you've worked with a lot of other brands.
Right.
And I'd like to ask you, what are some of the projects that you've taken on as part of working with other brands prior to Ekatrina?
I worked with my first company was Gap, Old Navy. I designed loungewear and lounge accessories, and then after that I designed with the Liz Claiborne, Lucky Brand all accessories, and then Taylor, and all those three brands has different point of view, which gave me helped me to grow as a design consultant. So not only I can design my own brand, I'm thankful that I can translate to many different brands, and it just came out naturally. And recently I worked with MCM to design their python and alligator line.
Nice.
And also
I love python and alligator.
Yeah, me too. And
so
also,
luxurious.
Yes, and it feels good. Yeah. And you can work with the shades, yeah, because it's so light.
Yeah.
and also Castel Bazaar, which is a French brand.
Yes.
And which has been bought by Korean, the Korean owner, which is EXR. It's a big company in Korea. And I work with the owner, and I work with the Jangsha to come up with the accessory line.
How did you become the creative director with that company?
With the dinner, cocktail party, with the press, with the and my stories from from newspaper and magazine. They call me and say, "Are you interested?" And then of course I'm still 40. I'm interested in many other opportunities.
Let's talk a little bit about your life before Ekatrina New York.
Right.
Okay. When you were actually in New York.
Right.
You were born in Korea, but what age did you move to the States and why?
I was 8th grade in junior high, and our whole family immigrated in land of Arizona.
Arizona.
Yes, right next to California.
Nice. I love Arizona.
I love it there. I mean, it was so
so different than
so
here,
different. I had a culture shock that made me not talk for about 3 years after
Really?
Yes, I had a speech problem when I was in high school.
That's hard to believe because you are so
I'm very talkative
in Korean and in English, and I would never know.
I had a huge issues with the speaking.
Oh.
And then I started to pick it up when I was in college, so it's not funny.
So when you were in high school and it was difficult, what do you think it was that broke you out of that shell and helped you to become the more talkative
mind with a Korean mom.
Yeah.
You have to be independent, you know. This is any other 1.5 generation mom. Yeah, and I had a single mom too. My father passed away a long time ago. That's how we immigrated to Arizona. So I had a single mom and with the 3 daughters, and she's still my inspiration. I don't think I can. My hope is to be just like her to my little Nahi.
Wow. And it seems like your mother did an amazing job because here you are with your own amazing brand, and look at you now.
She always has been saying to me, you have to be independent and you have to be happy with what you do. And it doesn't matter what you do. You could be sushi restaurant owner, you could be a dry cleaning owner. It's not degrading to any occupation. Just be happy with what you do and be positive, and you have to be financially independent.
Yes. So now, when you went to college, is that when you realized you had a passion for fashion?
No, I had a passion in transportation design.
Transportation design?
Yeah,
industrial
just
design.
like how my mother was saying, you have to go to big company and get employed and get 401k and be stable. And in order to do that, I was researching what design area that I could be employed to Ford or GM. It was a transportation design.
Interesting. Like designing cars.
Right.
Trucks.
And it took me about 6 months at RISD to figure out that's not
the Rhode Island School of Design.
Yes, Rhode Island School of
That's
Design.
an amazing school from most designers' perspectives.
It taught me how to become a designer, or the attitude of living as a designer for all your life.
You went from RISD to go to IBM.
Right.
And why did you choose IBM?
I did 6 years of RISD. I did 4 years of undergrad and also master. And those 6 years of life, I met great teachers and professors. And one of the professors was actually in MIT.
I see.
Working with many projects with the IBM. And he recommended me to be designing the keyboard for IBM, and I actually
like the actual keyboard that's we use.
Keyboard that people will use in the year of 2030.
Oh wow! So is it one of those
still
ergonomic?
Not 2030. So
do you have something that's like more ergonomic?
I shouldn't say keyboard as a terminology. I should say input device for computer.
So fascinating.
Yeah, and I was working there for a few months, about six to 7 months, and I had to leave because that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to design for today, today's woman, today's man, not for year of 2030.
That's like going way far into the future.
Too far. I was too young.
I mean, and that was over 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, it's 1996. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then you left IBM and you started working, you left for New York.
I left
right?
New York, and I was heavily, what's that? Arrogant. I thought I could get employed right away, but I couldn't. The New York fashion industry did not see me as a fashion designer at all, because I studied industrial design and I went to IBM. It's very far away from how fashion works.
Right.
After I quit IBM, I was telling myself, you know what, if I can get employed like this and working with these fabulous people, I'm sure I can get a job in New York right away too. Let me just pack myself and go and, you know, and taste New York. And it was very difficult. So I was unemployed for a year, feeling very poor.
That must have been very difficult, not only financially but emotionally too.
And I was, one day I was calling my mom. I said, Mom, I think I have to give up at this point because I only have $5 in my wallet. And I don't think I can do any more interviews because I think I talk to most of people in New York in fashion. And my mom, I was expecting my mom to say, how much do you need? Or can I send you some money? The answer she had was, don't come back to Arizona because there's no job for you. It's even worse than New York. And why don't you just work in New York, not in fashion industry, but maybe something else like cash register or cleaning. You know, it's not like, you know, you went to amazing school. Even though you're working in the restaurant, it's not going to be you're not going to work in the restaurant forever. So it's only going to be cash makers. So why don't you work for them? And first I was like screaming at my mom and like, you're crazy, you know, how can you ask me to work in the restaurant?
Well,
and how can you master's degree in
RISD,
RISD, and you know, I was working for this great company, and but she was right. I really need to, you know, taste the New York, not in fashion. So I started to apply for these different jobs. I was actually working in Crate and Barrel as a cash register and inventory stock. So my job was to making sure the wine glasses are straight and delivering the wine glasses on the shelf after people picks it up. So, and it has to be crystal clean. So that was my job, and also do the cash register. So I did about 2 years of the training there. So it was my daytime main job was working as a inventory stock, and then at night, I was working as a visual merchandiser designer. I mean, it sounds wonderful, but it's not really, because really moving mannequins.
Moving mannequins?
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning. The burger of the man, yes.
Wow. But you're kind of putting your foot into fashion, but
not really designer.
The blue-collar end of fashion, so to speak.
So my job was really working with the designers and their merchandisers, making sure the mannequins are dressed properly. So I always had a pin on my hand and, you know, acting like designer. But that was a great job for me because, you know, I was able to work from 3 o'clock in the morning to really feel the newness of the fashion in Bergdorf. I could actually touch the dress, see the label, and feel all the materials and hear what designers comment. So it was really good entry job position for me.
That's a great hands-on way to be near the best fabrics and designs in the world. I mean, Bergdorf Goodman is...
they're way up there, but I'm very thankful that my mother actually gave me the comment of you should work not as a designer but as a, you know, anybody else. You know, you have to be independent. Anyways, and then Gap called me about a year later.
Almost what, a year or two after, you know, being unemployed and working this job during the day that you know, really didn't have anything to do with fashion, working at night at Bergdorf's. What did that feel like? First feeling that I was like, yay, I did it.
And second thing was, how much do I get from? Yeah, it was very little. It was very little. But I was still thankful that I could actually working in fashion and put my foot down. And I was working at Gap for 4 years after that.
Wow.
Not for designing for human, for dog accessories.
That's what I hear. So when
there was another twist. I'm like, okay, that's the another thing. I mean, you know, I really wanted to work in fashion for human, and
after working with Gap, you worked with some of the most popular brands in the U.S. With Liz Claiborne. You worked with Ann Taylor. Tell us about your time at Liz Claiborne.
It was only a year. I have to be very, very honest about that.
How then did you decide to move to a different company?
Liz Claiborne is a wholesaler. It's not retail, so they don't have their own store. So under the Liz Claiborne, I launched a brand called Lucky Brand. Very casual, LA-based brand.
I love their jeans.
Oh yeah, I love it. I still love it. I'm still a big fan of them.
Yeah.
It's very far away from how Ekatrina works, but it's still, I love the hippiness.
Yeah.
Very, you know, LA. It's very LA. And the designer, senior designer who worked right next to me, who was controlling all Ellen Tracy, was scouted as a VP of design at Ann Taylor. And she was asking, her name is Jasmina Patty. She's a very talented Italian designer. And she said, is it going to hurt your pride if I asked you to become my director? She's like, not at all. I love you. And I think there's so much that I could learn from you. It's like, then you're hired. Let's go.
So at the tender age of 30, and in the world of fashion, to become a director at age 30 for accessories is kind of unprecedented. I mean, that's very young, yes?
Very young, and like I said, I only had a passion. I didn't know how to control my time. But I think Jasmina Patty, she taught me how to control my time, how to get married and date. One day you gotta have children, and you have to spend your time.
What a great mentor.
Oh, she still is. She still is in New York. Yes.
So as a young director for Ann Taylor, you were also one of the first Asian directors there. Was that at all an issue? You know, not
Ann Taylor
being
was very conservative, the fashion company who still believed in yellow hair, blonde hair with the blue eyes. Has to be executive of them. And here I am with the broken English, with the 30 years old, the Korean heritage, Cathy Yeon Choo Lee, became a whole accessory director. Was big thing for them. But Jasmina Patty had a big trust on me. She said, if you can do Lucky Brand in that working circumstances, you can do it. You know, you can be my right-hand person. Let's do it. And there are many people who quit after we started. Yes, but there are a few people who still working in Ann Taylor for 30 to 40 years, but still there, and still I call them.
You know, to be trusted by someone like your mentor, Jasmina, it's such an amazing feeling, right? Like it would be such a big difference if you were working under someone who was constantly just, you know, taking you for granted or saying, oh, I don't like what you're doing. But to have someone believe in you that much means so much. Do you think things would have been different if she hadn't been so vocal about her trust in you?
If I didn't meet her, I don't think I could become a professor or get married or be a mom. Because I am determined to living as a design director or designer for all my life before I die. I have to run slow in the same pace of the speed and same passion that I have in my 20s. And you have to just, you know, learn how to balance your life. And that's the big thing that she taught me over those years.
How does Cathy Lee create these bags from her imagination? I visited her studios to find out.
안녕하세요.
어서 오세요.
반가워요.
네, 반갑습니다. 어서 들어오세요.
와, 여기가 그 유명한 작업실인가요?
아유, 그 말씀을 다 하십니다. 제
우와.
아주 누추한 작업실입니다.
전혀 아닌 것 같은데요. 교수님, 이 액자에 아주 멋진 밍크의 이 커프랑 넣은 게 정말 멋있어요. 진짜 예술 작품 같아요.
아유, 감사합니다. 핸드백은 프로포션이 가장 중요해요. 물론 가죽고 이런 것도 중요하지만 이 크기와 그 비례해서 이런 모든 프로포션을 한번 봐달라고
와,
제가 한번 액자에다 넣어봤습니다.
와, 진짜 멋지네. 진짜 들어보고 싶네요, 이런 거. Beautiful.
Thank you.
여기 아주
어서 들어오세요.
정말 멋지네요. 예, 어떤 여자든지 여기 들어오면은 정말 그 환상의 룸일 것 같아요.
저한테도 아직까지도
네.
그렇게 백이랑 같이 살았는데도 언제나 마음 설레고 애기들 보는 것 같고 그렇습니다. 네.
교수님, 여기 스케치를 좀 설명해 주세요. 여기 참 다양한 소재도 많은 것 같은데.
뭐 이제 맨 처음에 제가 이제 이런 가방을 만들고 싶다 이러면서 이런 마테리얼이면 어떨까 해서 굉장히 러프하게 시작한 거고요.
아하.
그러고서는 이제 정말 뭐 어떤 컬러를 할까 머천다이즈도 하기 시작하고 제 스케치북이에요.
그럼 영감은 뭐 어디서든지 이렇게 다 받을 수 있는 거겠네요.
예, 예를 들면은 이게 저희 애기 스케치인데요. 제가 막 이렇게 그리다 보니까 걔도 옆에 앉아서 우리 나희도 막 그림을 그리고.
와, 나이도 좀
예.
좀 재능 있나 봐요.
그래서 나희한테 나희야 이게 굉장히 asymmetrical한데 그거 뭐 있니? 그러면 그냥 아직까지 눈 껌뻑껌뻑 쳐다보고.
In her sketchbook, I was able to get a peek at so many different bags and patterns. I could feel Cathy's passion radiating out of the pages.
이거는 이제 제가 지금 처음 보여드리는 거예요.
그래요?
저희 직원 빼놓고는.
really?
2013년 SS를 지금 스케치로 보고 계시는 거예요. 그리고 이따가 공장에 가시면 지금 샘플 작업 중입니다.
그러니까 아주 기대가 되네요.
아유,
와.
감사합니다.
그러면 교수님, 우리 또 다음에 또 어떤 걸 저한테 보여주실
이제
수
밑에
있나요?
내려가셔서 저희
네.
패턴 선생님, 저한테는 정말 너무너무 고마운 사람.
아하.
제가 이렇게 그리면
네.
그거를 패턴으로 만들어주시는 분을 만나 소개시켜 드릴게요.
네,
네.
만나보고 싶네요.
네. 안녕하세요, 부장님.
안녕하세요. 처음 뵙겠습니다.
오늘
저 수잔이라고 합니다.
아주 귀한 손님이 오셨어요, 저희 작업실에. 예를 들면 이 가방을 이제 제가 만들고 싶어요. 그래서
네.
오면은 우리 부장님께서 그럼 패턴이 되나 봅시다. 그러시면서 이렇게 맞춰보는 거죠.
아, 그렇군요.
네, 근데 가죽이 이렇게 보면 이제 상한 데도 있고, 뭐 이게 또 접힌 데도 있고 그렇기 때문에 다 쓸 수는 없어요.
아하.
근데 그런 매운 눈을 가지고 계세요. 저는 무조건
네.
된다 그러고 부장님께서는 이것 때문에 안 돼요. 그럼 그때부터 제 눈에 보이기 시작하는.
그럼 예를 들어서 여기 같은 경우는 어떤 게 좀 상처가 난 데고 어떤 게 좀
예를 들면은
쓸수 없는
텍스처
건가요?
같은 경우는 여기는 다 좋은데 이쪽
네.
보면 이제 주름살이 들어가기 시작하잖아요.
아하.
똑같아요. 사람 엘보 같은데 그런
네.
주름 있잖아요.
네.
그런 걸 똑같은데 이 부분은 못 씁니다.
아하.
그리고 뭐 예를 들어서 이제 여기는 없지만 이게 좀 스크래치가 이렇게 있다.
네.
뭐 이랬으면 이 부분도 쓸 수가
네.
없습니다.
일단 저희가 작업을 하게 되면은 이 스타일은 맨 처음에 작업하실 때 이렇게
네.
스케치가 이렇게 처음에 디자인 이렇게 디자인 스케치가
아하.
오게 되면은
네.
이걸 보고 사이즈를 해서
아하.
일단 패턴 작업을 합니다. 이 기본형이 나오면 여기에서 이제 다 이 부분적으로 이렇게 떨어져 나오는 부분이거든요.
네.
그 부분을 말씀드리자면은 저희가 지금
패턴도
그냥-
뭐 여러 가지가 있네요.
예, 보기에는-
한 가방을 만들기 위해서.
예, 보기에는 그냥 간단한 것 같은데 내부적으로 보강이나 이런 게 많이 들어가기 때문에 좀 가지수가 많아집니다.
아하.
네, 그래서 이런 패턴이 나오게 되는데 여기에서 이제 내부 사항에 저희가 이제 담을 수 있는 것들 보시면은 기능적인 면들 포켓도 있고요.
네.
포켓, 핸드폰
네.
포켓 이렇게 다 있고 저희들이 이 카드나 브랜드, 동글박 카드 칸도 있고
네.
이렇게 해서 작업이 다 이런 모든 부분들이 그냥 이 패턴이 있어야 작업이 될 수 있는 겁니다.
네.
하나도 없으면 안 되기 때문에
아하. 다음에는 우리가 어떤 거를 볼 건지.
그래서 이렇게 저희가
네.
패턴을 만들어서 우리 그 선생님이랑 저랑 이러면 이렇게 하면 되겠다. 그럼 이걸 들고선 저희는 이제 공장에 가는 거죠.
아, 네.
그래서 이제 거기 가면 이제 샘플 작업이 되고
아하.
또 그 샘플에서 또 저희가 공정이 또 들어가고 그렇습니다. 다음에 또 가볼까요?
네.
여기 들어가시면 돼요.
네.
네.
여기가 그 공장인가요?
네, 저희 공장인데 공장 굉장히 지저분하고 시끄럽고 먼지가 많아요. 괜찮으세요?
네, 괜찮아요.
네. 안녕하세요, 사장님.
안녕하십니까.
네, 오늘 정말 중요한 손님, 반가운 손님 모시고 왔어요.
안녕하세요.
네, 여기
네,
제가
수잔이라고 합니다. 여기 보니까 정말 독특한 그 소재인 것 같은데 이거 혹시 뱀 아니에요?
네, 이탈리안 파이썬인데요. 이게
우와.
다 손으로 다 페인트한 그런 파이썬입니다.
너무 이쁘다. 와우.
근데 이게 파이썬이다 보니까 이제 보시면 아시겠지만 이제 굉장히 좁아요. 그러니까
네,
이게
그렇네요.
그리고 가방은 크고 그러니까 당연히 절개가 들어가야 되는데
네.
이 절개가 어디쯤에 들어가야 되는지를 사장님께서 궁금해하셔서 또 같이 얘기하면서 연구해가면서 자르면 좋을 것 같아요.
Cathy Yeon Choo Lee is eager to listen to the opinions of everyone who helps to create her bags. This focus on communication is what makes the difference in her final products. It's no wonder that everyone she works with is so enthusiastic about their work. 사장님, 지금 어떤 작업을 하고 계신가요?
네, 지금 손잡이 마무리 작업하고 있습니다. 손바늘로
네.
마무리를 손 한 땀 땀 꼬매야 되는 거거든요.
아하. 그렇군요.
지금 이제 이게 완성이
아, 이게
됐고요.
핸들이네요.
네.
와. 그럼 이게 다 수작업이 된 건가요?
네.
와.
바늘로 이제 한 땀 한 땀씩 이제 꼬매야 되는 부분이고요.
아. Ekatrina bags have handmade details, even hidden places, that cannot be seen with the naked eye. This is what sets luxury apart from the ordinary. These careful stitches are what makes Ekatrina bags impossible to imitate. 와, 이거는 보통 손기술 없이는 못할 것 같은데요.
가방이라는 거 만드는 것 자체가 진짜 하나하나 다 손이 안 가는 부분이 없기 때문에 정말 가방 만드시는 분들 대접받아야 된다고 생각합니다.
그럴 것 같네요. 그 교수님, 이 이카트리나가 얼마나 웰메이드된 그런 브랜드인지 여기 와서 정말 경험을 할 수가 있었던 것 같아요.
짧은 시간 안에 가방 만든다는 게 굉장히 복잡한 일인데 이거 잘 설명했는지 걱정이 좀 되네요.
너무 잘하신 것 같은데요.
네.
그 다음 주에 그 샘플 만들어진 거 꼭 좀 보고 싶네요.
같이 올까요?
네, 꼭.
고맙습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
네, 고맙습니다. My future plans, there are a lot, but if I can narrow it down, let's talk about Ekatrina. I want to grow Ekatrina, and Ekatrina is only 7 years old. That's why it is what it is. So I can't ask for more because it has been great 7 years. So as it gets old, I think it will mature with me. And when it is 50 or 100 years old, I think it will start to become what it is. So I have to do the underground work, and I think that's my job.
You came back to Korea after having lived in the States and worked with Gap and with Claiborne and also Ann Taylor. What was it that brought you to Korea?
I fell in love. I got married and met my husband. Few months after, he gave me a ring.
Wow.
And
Very
he said he will come back. He will come to New York. But the man I loved never lived in New York or never lived in U.S. He was always living in Korea, and he was also living. He spent his 20s in China.
Oh wow.
So I didn't think it was a good choice for me to invite him to living with me in that important age. He was in 40.
I see.
So I said, why don't I come to Korea? And he said, there's no job for you, and I don't think you'll be happy. We can find something in New York. And I said, no, I think I'll be happy everywhere.
As long as
As long as I have you. I was out of my mind. And then a month later, I resigned and to Jasmine Patty, and she was very grateful. And I moved back to Seoul.
Wow. So you moved to Seoul because you loved a man.
Yes.
And then how soon after that did you get married?
2 months after I got married.
2 months
Yes.
after. So it's like bada bing, bada boom. You meet him. He
So
decides
give you
whether
the
or not.
time frame is end of October that I met him.
Okay.
And end of November he gave me the ring.
Wow.
And then December I came to Korea to have a dress set up. And then I still remember end of January or beginning of February I moved to the Seoul.
Incredible.
And my anniversary date is middle of March.
Wow.
So that's that.
So when you met him, was it love at first sight?
Yes. It was crazy.
I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's like the most romantic type of story.
When I was living in New York, I had never thought that I would leave this island. And I was like, just like, the Sex in the City Carrie, that I cannot agree with her more. I love New York. I could not even move to Brooklyn or Queens because I believed in city. And I could not imagine myself even in Europe. But I met Simon, is my husband's name, and he gave me the sight. He gave me this light that there's some other life that we can enjoy together.
Incredible.
So I came to Korea.
So you came to Korea after leaving Ann Taylor. You came here, you got married, and that's when the idea for Ekatrina New York started?
Ekatrina came in the transition of meeting my husband, because my husband is a businessman, and he came to visit New York, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, oh, this is logo that I'm making for Ekatrina New York. And at that point, because Ekatrina was born already in my 20s, I had so many references.
Oh, wow.
Bags. And I was always preparing to launching on my brand. I didn't know when.
So you always had the idea to launch it. It was just a matter of timing.
Yeah, it was a matter of timing, and I never thought about leaving my 60s or 50s a big corporation, the employee.
Wow.
So it was a matter of time, but I didn't have money, or I didn't have any time for me, or I didn't know when was a good time. And Simon was like, you know what, let's do it.
Wow.
I see it. I think it's going to be successful. Let's do it.
Wow.
And he took all my documentation, and we started to register. We started to trademark every single country. We did the US the first year, and the European continent, and all the Asia. So registration stage, I mean, I didn't think that would be the first thing that I would do, but he was such a good businessman. He started to register our trademark to all the countries.
Wow. It seems like you've had the fortune of being around people who are not only talented and skilled in what they do, like Jasmina, but from Ann Taylor, but your husband too. To be with people who see your potential and see your talent, and that you were able to, convince them of your talent, and to have that support.
I am always so thankful to have Jasmina in my life, and also I have family, and who we can see the same future together, and build great companies together, and I think that's such a bless.
Now, you were talking about how you think family is so important, and to have that balance. Tell me about your daughter and what being a mom has been like for you as a person and as a designer.
I think I am really good friend to her, because she always says, don't tell dad, this is my secret, and she's always giving me the secret, tells me the secret. After Nai was born, I think it finishes my life. I think it completes, who I am as a woman. And before that, I was, my collection was very rigid and very regal and very arrogant almost, and not really listen. But after Nai was born, after being a mom and after spending time with her, I learned how to listen, and I learned how to design that is lighter bag for human.
Like actually physically lighter?
Lighter for moms, and more compartment inside, so that baby bottles can go inside, even though it's not diaper bag. and the size of it too. I listen to people. So, you know, the short answer would be with among all these different answers, it just not complete who I am.
Wow. Working as a professor, working as a designer, business owner, mother, you're also an author of books. What would you say is your most proudest achievement, or what would you consider as the most successful part of your life?
Can I say Nahi? I mean, theoretically, or you know, in this kind of interview setting, I have to say, you know, launching Ekatrina New York in 2006, right? But I think money comes and goes, and business comes and goes, and I think Ekatrina has its own momentum now. It is growing, and it has its own speed. And I am a visionary person in Ekatrina New York, and I will still design, and I'll still own Ekatrina New York until I die. But the day that I gave birth to Nahi, and she started to drink milk and poop and sleep, and you know, her heart is, I mean, it was the biggest moment of my life, and still is. And embarrassingly enough, I still sleep with Nahi. People are telling me that I have to sleep train her, but that's the best part of my life in the daily basis, to hug her at night. And you know, amazingly, it gives me the energy to design next day.
Wow, wow. She's a lucky, lucky girl to have a mom who loves her so much and who is doing all this. You know, when you have the option to have a nanny and do all these other things, to spend that quality time with your daughter, you know, it's something that I think a lot of women
think we
can
all
respect.
try. I think there are so many inspirational women and in the world, and there are so many here in Seoul too. But when the inspiration figure is not married, I always recommend her to not marry, but you know, living a balanced life and think about some other things, because that will, at the end of the day, it seems like at that moment it seems like you're backtracking, because at night at 7:30 sometimes I'm telling myself, you know what, if I answer this email, if I talk to this buyer, if I do this thing, I know I'm going to get more, I'm gonna get this store, or but that doesn't really matter, because I know product will speak it for itself. If buyer wants it, they're gonna send me another email tomorrow. I can always answer 8 o'clock tomorrow in the morning.
How do you create that balance in your life? Because you have a beautiful daughter, you're married, you have a successful business. How do you manage all of that?
You just have to drop your pencil and go home.
Just drop it.
Physically, I think that's only answer. I mean, even the phones are ringing, there's hundreds of emails that's waiting, and your factory is calling, your buyer's calling. You know, at 7:30, I'm going home. I don't have a full-time nanny. My nanny goes home at 7:30, and I could hire a nanny in Korea who can live with me, who can sleep with me. But if I do that, I know I'm gonna work as a back in 20s Claiborne days, because it's my own company, and so I actually did not hire my nanny that way. So you just have to go home and hug your daughter and say, how was your day? And then you know, she talks about balloons, and she talks about flowers, and she talks about her boyfriend, and
she's 4.5.
and she's 4.5, very vocal, and she expresses everything verbally now, that how her life is. So you know, it's just a blessing to have a home and my child and husband at home.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
You know, it would be easy to say that you're kind of a superwoman, because you manage to do all these different things, and you have a daughter who loves you, and you're able to spend time with her, and also your family. It's something that I think a lot of women can learn from. You know?
Thank you. I do my best. I don't think I'm perfect at all.
No.
Yes.
What do you think you can say to other designers who are, you know, younger than you, or maybe just getting started in the business, because they may have also a very difficult time managing their time? What would you recommend for them?
Get married and have a family. and
Yeah.
spend time with your family and spend time with the loved ones, and your design will show. And the quality of your work will show. And you know, people laugh whenever I say this in school too, but I think that's the truth. That's the only way. You have to be balanced. You have to spend your time for yourself and your loved ones.
Cathy, you've been such a pleasure to have on the show, and
Oh,
I
thank
just
you.
appreciate how vulnerable and honest you've been, because I think that a lot of times people at a certain kind of level in life and in success want to maintain this image that, oh, you know, it's just so easy. But you've shown that not only has it not been an easy road, but that it's been a real journey for you. And
Oh,
so thank you
you
so much for sharing.
Well, it's my honor to be here. You know, it was such a blessing for me to be here.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
And we look forward to hearing all about you in the future.
Thank you.
And I want one of your bags.
You have to call me
Yes,
later
we'll
on.
have to talk soon.
Yes.